Check this out. This looks like a phone, but it's not. It has two USB Type-C ports on the bottom, a third orange button on the right side with a special function, and two extremely spaced out cameras on the back. All of that exists because, like I said, this is not actually a phone. Instead, it's a purpose-made device tailored specifically for the best AR and VR experience. There's a lot to explain here, as well as a ton of cool features I found after using this for a little while. But the best part is, this is only $199. Now, $199 is not a steep price at all, but when XREAL asked if they could send over a unit and partner up on a video, I mean, how could I say no? I had to see what this device actually was and how it actually impacted my AR and VR experience. So I'm gonna peel this back one layer at a time, starting off with the first question of, why does this exist? Like, what problem does this really solve? Well, before, XREAL had some pretty awesome glasses. The XREAL Air 2 Pro were the ones I was using, but you would plug it into your phone and very quickly drain your battery. That was one problem right there. You also would need to download an app, and you were sort of limited in what you could actually do when you're using those glasses. Then they came out with a couple devices that allowed you to charge your phone while using the glasses, kind of a step in the right direction, but it was clear that something else was missing with that. Additionally, not just XREAL, but the entire AR, VR landscape kind of felt barren. There was very little app support and everyone operated kind of in their own silo. The Beam Pro kind of solves a lot of problems. It runs Android, so it can open all the apps in the Google Play Store in a spatial environment when you're wearing the glasses, kind of just enriching the overall AR ecosystem. So, like I said, this has access to Google Play, and with that, a massive library of apps ready to use on your device. For example, unlike the $3,500 Apple Vision Pro, this does have YouTube. This does have a Netflix app. It also has Gmail, Strava, Spotify, and quite literally millions of other apps that you can use. And being a purpose-made device specifically for AR and VR, it has a lot of other perks in it as well. And as you might be figuring out by now, the spaced out cameras in the back kind of tie into that as well. They allow you to capture a stereo or spatial video and photos that can be played back on the glasses in a very realistic 3D way. So unlike most other phones where the cameras are super close together and I don't know about you, but my eyes are not an inch apart. They're not 3 inches apart either, but this is a lot closer, especially when you hold it in front of you, to looking 3D, and you can tell when you look at the photos. So that's question one of why does this exist? Clearly it's solving a lot of problems, but the next question is how do I use it? Cool, it seems like a promising solution, but it really does 3 main things. 1, it has all your apps on here. 2, it does the UI control when you're wearing the glasses, and 3, the spatial cameras for control. So quick summary of how this works. When you turn it on, it looks like a regular Android phone. It runs Android 14, and it also has a second operating system on here when you plug in the glasses on the bottom. So we have 2 ports on the bottom. One allows you to plug into a wall to charge it if you wanted to, and the second one allows you to plug into the glasses. Now you can do both at the same time, so you can not drain your battery while using the glasses if you wanted to, but when you plug in the glasses, you get a new operating system on the glasses called Nebula OS, and it's based on the Android system. And this is good because by choosing to build on the Android system, XREAL made it easy for beginners to get started. There's no learning curve. There's nothing weird going on here. It really is just Android mapped into a 3D space, and it makes perfect sense. So when you put them on, you plug it in, you get all of your apps laid out in kind of a honeycomb layout, kind of similar to the same layout we saw on the Apple Vision Pro with how the apps are. And the Beam Pro then goes into a new screen that allows you to use this as, 1, a laser pointer. You point it around and you can select things in VR space. And 2, it has a little touchpad on there that you can use to scroll through articles or swipe back and forth through photos. And you can press the home button on there as well to navigate back to home. So like I said, it's a very intuitive interface when you're using that. In addition, because this has its own display here and it's running Android, it's a very familiar experience. So it's very easy. What I like to do personally is I download all my apps on here, so without the glasses plugged in, and then I'll sign into all of them. Then when you plug in, say the Air 2 Pro, for example, it's just ready to go. All the apps, you're signed into Amazon Prime Video and Netflix and whatever else you might be using. Additionally, whenever you need it, a keyboard will pop up here. So if you're like navigating the VR space and then you need to type something in for searching for like a movie, for example, the keyboard on your screen pops up and it's really easy to use as well. Now, if you've been paying attention, you might have noticed I haven't talked about that orange button just yet. It actually has quite a few different functions. So when you're using the device as a standalone just Beam Pro, maybe if you're taking photos or videos or just, I don't know, using it to watch media on here for some reason, the orange button is going to open your camera and allow you to very quickly open up the spatial camera for taking photos or spatial videos. Of course, you could also take regular photos and regular videos if you wanted to. It kind of defeats the whole purpose here. And I'll talk about the quality of those photos. But looking at other things that button does, when you're in VR space, it actually works so you press and hold it, it'll reorient the entire space in front of you. So if you're like sitting on a couch this way, and then you go and sit on a chair facing this way, like all the stuff's over here. So you press and hold that, and it'll move it over right in front of you. Kind of a intuitive way to do things. But getting back to the spatial video and spatial photos, I think this is really interesting. So it's like, this is a $200 product, right? So the fact that we even get the ability to take 3D photos, I think is already a really cool advantage here for the price. It's not going to be replacing like your DSLR, your mirrorless camera. You're not going to be filming movies with this thing, but if you're just capturing memories when you're on vacation, you're outside, really cool landscapes, I think it is something that it has to be part of the future. Like trying this out, I think it's just so incredible to see your memories in 3D. Like when you put the glasses on, it's so hard to explain without experiencing it, but the photos genuinely, like you can see depth. Your eyes can focus on different parts of the photo. Like memories just hit different when you see them in 3D like that. The quality of this though, like I said, photos I found most of the time, they're pretty fantastic. If there's a lot of dynamic range going on, like really dark shadows and really bright highlights, it can blow out the highlights a little bit on that. Just something to keep in mind. And videos, for the most part, they do work, but it's still very early on. So I prefer to use this mostly for photos. I think that's kind of just what works the best and kind of plays back in the coolest way possible. But getting back to other things you can do with the glasses plugged into the phone, you can actually have multiple apps open at the same time. So you can have two side by side. You can also open any app on here kind of in two different ways. So you can have it vertical, which is going to be kind of like a wide, squatty phone orientation, kind of almost square, honestly, is the aspect ratio. But you can also go into, right now it's in beta mode, the ability to stretch it out to a wide view. So that's going to be more like apps that are optimized for tablets. They're going to be really good at doing that. And so you have, a full screen app right in front of you, whether that's Google Chrome, Google Maps, Spotify, like whatever app you're using, you can stretch it out to a full screen. And so that's the second way you could do that. So like I said, vertical, horizontal, side by side, one of each, like different ways you can open two apps at the same time. You're not able to have multiple windows scattered around VR space, at least not right now. You can have two at a time open, and you could have technically a third one open on the Beam Pro down here if you ever wanted to glance down. But it's also worth mentioning that these cameras, we're working with 50 megapixels, and if you just use it in regular photo mode, not spatial video or spatial photo, you have a standard lens and an ultra wide lens as well. So you can take some ultra wide shots here, and like it's still a pretty versatile camera. If you're traveling around, you just want a nice camera on vacation that you can take spatial photos with, like it's pretty cool. I think it's just a cool feature to have, and I could definitely see myself carrying this around when I'm traveling. Also, when you're looking at spatial photos or spatial videos, they have this cool feature called memory space, which is kind of like, it's hard to explain, but it opens up all your photos around you in like a very panoramic way. So you have a whole bunch of photos everywhere. It plays like a very kind of sentimental or nostalgic kind of music, so you can look at all your photos. It's very relaxing. I think it's pretty fun, and you can open up your photos then and check them out in 3D. I think it's just a cool way, especially after like a vacation, to just look back at what you did or like what you did in the past year, different things like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention the storage on this thing. So it comes for $199. That's the base price. You're getting 128 gigabytes of storage and 6 gigs of RAM for an extra $50, which is very tempting. You get 256 gigabytes of storage and 8 gigs of RAM. Considering that I would primarily be using this for media, I mean, I think the extra $50 is pretty tempting, especially if you plan on flying a lot, you want to download a lot of videos, movies, music. Like, I would just use this as my media device so that I can save space on my phone, especially if you're flying or anywhere that you might not be connected. But kind of summarizing my experience after using this, right? So we talked about why this exists, what it does, kind of how you use it. But my actual experience, I found quite a few really nice positives with this. The first one, like I said, is that you don't have to use the storage on your phone. You freeze up a lot of storage. You also don't drain the battery on your phone. Again, if you're traveling on a train or if you're flying, like you can save your battery on your phone, and then when you land, like your phone's ready to go, and you just use this the entire time, or you can even plug this in while you're using it. And kind of another tied into battery, another benefit here is that in a pinch, this thing totally could work as a backup battery bank to charge your phone and kind of top it off. Like I said, if you're traveling, need some juice, like you got 2 ports on the bottom. You could plug in and charge your phone a little bit. Also, when you're using the glasses, I think because it makes sense. This is an optimized experience for the glasses. The image, in my opinion, looks better than ever, like crisper. There's really not the eye strain I was seeing in the past when you plug into other devices, like a lot of other VR glasses definitely struggle. They give you a lot of eye strain. This one just looks natural, really nothing glitchy, like very clean experience that I think is very comfortable for watching movies or TV shows, playing games, and even doing some mild like email work if you connect like a Bluetooth keyboard, for example. And speaking of Bluetooth, it's also easy with this device. Like this does have, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, like all the basics you'd expect. The only thing the Beam Pro can't do is get a phone number. That's why it's not a phone. Think of it more like a tablet, right? So this you can pair with Bluetooth to earbuds, for example, for a more immersive audio experience, even though, of course, like the Air 2 Pro, for example, they do have speakers, and the audio is pretty decent on these, but sometimes, like, you just gotta block out sounds around you. Maybe you're traveling and you want ANC. Bluetooth earbuds are really easy to connect with this, and you don't have any kind of crazy lag by going through, too many different devices. It's all just on this device right here. Now, like I mentioned, this is not intended to replace your phone. It's a separate device for media, and a benefit is that you're not going to be getting the notifications distracting you when you're watching some content. So if I'm watching a show on Netflix, I'm not going to be having some group text popping up the entire time and distracting me. Instead, that's still going to my regular phone, and the benefit of wearing glasses like these instead of the larger headsets that, the Quest 3 that kind of blocks everything out, is these, when I'm wearing them, I can still glance down and see my phone. So if I'm getting a call, I can glance down at that if I really wanted to, and it doesn't have to pop up on the screen all the time to distract me with notifications like that. But if you wanted notifications, you can sign into all of your apps on here. Like if you really wanted to sign into your banking apps, you totally could get them on this device, and you could enable notifications if you wanted to. Now, some good news about this, it is reverse and forward compatible with XREAL glasses, so compatibility is kind of nice. Remember in the beginning I said that a lot of different products are being very siloed by companies. XREAL's playing pretty nicely with everyone, so this works with older XREAL products like the Air 2 Pro, and the newer ones coming out soon like the Ultras. And also, when you're taking spatial photos with this, you don't have to have an XREAL headset to view them. It's a pretty common format, the stereo side-by-side JPEG. And so if you have a friend who has like a Quest 3 or I don't know, any other VR headset, you can send them those photos and they can look at them in 3D space as well. And honestly, they'll probably be impressed that like the spatial cameras like this do such a good job. Now, one thing to note is that this is running a Qualcomm Snapdragon 6450 processor, so it's clearly fast enough to stream anything, to run apps. However, if you're planning on downloading like very large games, you may want to keep that in mind on what the processor actually is here. So, like I said, for most stuff that I've been doing, streaming and stuff like that, it's definitely fast enough and easy to keep up with that. So, we talked about a lot here. I know I kind of picked through a bunch of different examples and different use cases, and I think you watching this, you probably have some ideas of how it might work for you, but kind of summarizing everything here. I love the innovation. I think this really solves a lot of the biggest issues with AR and VR, being the app selection. This has millions. The battery life, you can charge and use your glasses at the same time with this, and as a separate device, so you're not killing your phone anyway. And the spatial photo and video, being able to capture and play it back, like in the same ecosystem here. I think this device and software really solves all of those and more while giving you a very intuitive VR space that's easy to navigate, very user-friendly, beginner-friendly as well. And honestly, I think if you end up buying this and for whatever reason, you decide like it's just not for you, $199, like it runs a clean version of Android, so you could still use this as a Spotify player in your house or a smart home hub or just an extra media and gaming device. Like, it's hard not to like this thing when you're considering that price. But when you have a headset like this, I mean, it's just such a game changer. So those are my thoughts on the XREAL Beam Pro. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, which if you watched this long, I hope that means you did, please consider liking and subscribing. I have more videos just like this one coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.